I'm Bethany Clark, 34 years old. And that night I completely flipped my family's world upside down. All my life they viewed me as the quiet, unremarkable daughter. Just a simple desk clerk with no real ambition. Someone destined to stay small. But what they never realized was that behind that image, I secretly owned a tech company valued in the hundreds of millions, with offices spread across the country and a team that believed in me more than my family ever did. That evening during a family dinner, I tried to share a few thoughts on my sister's new real estate project. My parents instantly interrupted, their tone soaked in mockery. "Bethany, stop pretending to be an entrepreneur." My sister leaned back with a smug grin. "When you close a $50 million deal like me, then you can talk business here." Her words cut deep, but I didn't show it. I simply smiled, unlocked my phone, opened my work email and typed, "Cancel the $50 million contract." Without hesitation, I pressed send and slowly sipped my wine. Their laughter filled the room, unaware that in that exact moment, I had just pulled the foundation out from under her empire to be why Monday morning, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. 51 missed calls in an hour, all from the same frantic group, desperate for explanations. I didn't answer. Instead, I sent one cold text, "Don't talk business here." Then I watched everything fall apart, just like the way they had dismissed me for years. Why did I pull the plug on my sister's dream? What made me lose all patience? And how could one dinner shatter everything they thought they controlled? This is a story of betrayal, pride, and finding the courage to stand tall when no one believes in you. Stay till the end, you won't believe what happened next. Before I dive in, tell me, what time are you watching this and from which city? I want to see how far my story travels. Growing up in the Tampa suburbs, I was always overshadowed by my sister. Our family owned a chain of organic grocery stores, a business built from scratch by my parents, who worshipped old-school success. Brick walls, handshakes, and tangible work you could see and touch. To them, that was real business. My sister Heather, 36, was their perfect example. Her ambitious real estate project, a massive commercial complex in Tampa, was their pride and joy. At every family event, they boasted about her investor meetings, her confident pitches, her talent for winning over the city's elite. Heather was their golden child, the one destined to carry their legacy forward. I, on the other hand, was the opposite in their eyes. They assumed I spent my days shuffling papers at a dull office job. My dreams too small to matter. "Why can't you be more like your sister?" Dad would ask, his tone dripping with disappointment, as if my existence itself was a letdown. Mom was gentler, but her sighs said it all. She saw my work as a pastime, not a profession. They had no idea I ran a billion-dollar tech firm, and I never corrected them. I drove a modest car, dressed simply, and lived quietly. Not because I was ashamed, but because I didn't want to compete with Heather. I didn't want our home to turn into a battlefield of egos. Still, deep down, I longed for their recognition. I wanted them to see me, to value me the way they valued her. At every dinner, I tried joining in, offering small suggestions or asking about their ventures. Every time they brushed me aside. "Bethany, you wouldn't understand," Mom would say, her smile patronizing. Heather would glance at me, her smirk saying I was out of my league. Once, when I mentioned a market trends article, Dad laughed. "Stick to your desk job, kid." The table erupted in laughter, and I just smiled, swallowing the sting that it wasn't always this way. As kids, Heather and I were close, sharing secrets, dreams, and plans. But as we grew, our paths split. She chased attention and spotlight. I built quietly in the background, something far greater than they could imagine, and no matter how hard I worked, though I was always the afterthought. "Heather just closed another deal," Mom would brag, while my achievements earned only polite nods. That I told myself it was fine, that I didn't need their validation. But every comparison chipped at me, a reminder of my place in their eyes. Still, I kept showing up to those dinners, hoping something would change. I'd sit silently, listening to Heather's bold plans, thinking maybe if I supported her, if I proved myself, they'd finally see me. I wasn't trying to overshadow her, I just wanted to belong. When I heard about her big project, I saw a chance to contribute, not to boast but to help. Maybe then they'd look at me differently. But every attempt I made was shut down. "Bethany, leave the business talk to adults," Heather would laugh, and I'd just nod, hiding the hurt, convincing myself next time would be better. Looking back now, I realize how naive I was. I thought love meant patience, that if I endured their dismissals long enough, I'd earn their respect. But that day never came. They'd already chosen their favorite, and it wasn't me. Still, I kept returning, clinging to hope that one day they'd finally see me, not as the shadow, but as the person I had become. While they believed I filed papers for a living, I was quietly running a billion-dollar startup. I'm the CEO of a tech firm in Tampa that builds business management software, used by corporations worldwide. Last year, our valuation crossed 9 figures, but I never told a soul in my family. Not Dad. Not Mom. And especially not Heather. I kept my success hidden to avoid fueling her ego. Her real estate projects were their ticket to pride. And I didn't want to ignite rivalry. I'd seen how they praised her endlessly, and I thought staying silent would keep peace. Besides, I hoped foolishly that one day they'd value me without needing to see my wealth. Then one Friday morning, my CEO Norman Tate walked into my office with news that froze me. Heather's real estate group is pitching for a $50 million investment, he said, placing a thick folder on my desk. They want it from us. My stomach turned. Heather's project, the same one my parents adored, was right there in black and white. Norman's team had already done their research and the findings were bleak. The project's a disaster, Norman said quietly as I flipped through the pages, my heart sinking. Missing permits. Unrealistic budgets. Impossible timelines. It was a financial pit. I hit send, my pulse steadying as the decision settled in. I looked up, meeting Heather's eyes. She kept talking, oblivious to the storm I'd just unleashed. Dad and Mom laughed at her story, unaware that everything they'd built was about to crumble. I lifted my glass, took a slow sip of wine, and forced a polite smile, letting their laughter roll on. They thought they'd put me back in my place, but I had already made my move. By Monday morning, I stood in my office overlooking downtown Tampa. The sting from last night's dinner, Dad's harsh words, Mom's quiet pity, Heather's smug grin, still lingered, but I pushed it aside. I had a board meeting in an hour, and as the CEO of the firm funding Heather's $50 million project, I was about to decide its future. My team had spent weeks dissecting the deal. No permits, ballooning costs, impossible timelines. I had tried to help Heather, but after she'd rejected every bit of advice, I had no choice left. Today, I'd lay out the truth. Inside the glass-walled conference room, my board of directors, Lillian Holt, Clifford Neal, Beverly Grant, Elliot Marsh, and Nina Becker, waited as Norman, my CEO, set down the final report beside me. I took a breath and started. Heather's real estate project is a financial disaster waiting to happen, I said, projecting the charts onto the screen. No permits. 30% over budget. Unrealistic demand forecasts. We can't keep funding this. Lillian frowned thoughtfully, while Clifford fired questions about zoning issues. Beverly pressed for details on cost overruns. Elliot and Nina exchanged uneasy looks. The numbers spoke for themselves. Then Harold Dixon, our board chair, leaned forward, his tone sharp. Bethany, you're acting too quickly. This project has potential, he said. My son Trevor works on it, and he's assured me it's solid. I froze. Trevor, Heather's boyfriend, was Harold's son. The connection hit me like ice. Heather must have used their relationship to get him on her side. With respect, Harold, I replied evenly, Trevor doesn't have the full picture. Our data shows a 90% chance of failure. Norman backed me up, running through the structural and financial gaps. The evidence was airtight. Harold's expression hardened. You're letting personal bias affect your decision, he snapped. Trevor says Heather's team is addressing the problems. Give them time. Anger burned in my chest. Personal bias? I had risked millions trying to help Heather, not sabotage her. And now her boyfriend was using his father to save a doomed project. This isn't personal, I said firmly. It's business. If we don't act now, our reputation and investor trust will take the hit. Lillian nodded immediately. Clifford and Beverly voiced their agreement. Elliot hesitated, then followed. Even Nina, usually reserved, pointed out the legal risks of missing permits. Harold's voice rose again. Trevor's worked hard on this. You're dismissing his efforts. I took a deep breath, holding his gaze. The memory of last night, Heather's arrogance, Dad's laugh, Mom's pity, flashed through me. But I wasn't that quiet sister anymore. Harold, I respect Trevor's effort, I said. But effort doesn't fix a broken foundation. We can't gamble $50 million on wishful thinking. Silence fell. Harold clenched his jaw, but he couldn't argue with the facts. After a tense pause, the votes came in. Lillian, Clifford, Beverly, Elliot, and Nina sided with me. Harold stood alone. The decision was final. We were pulling out. Back in my office, I sat at my desk, calm but shaking inside. I opened my laptop and drafted the message. Effective immediately, our firm is withdrawing its $50 million investment due to unresolved financial and legal concerns. I clicked send and sealed the project's fate. Norman gave a small nod. You did the right thing, he said quietly. I nodded, but the weight of it pressed heavy on my chest. The echoes of that dinner still haunted me. Dad's ridicule, Mom's pity, Heather's sneer, and now Trevor's interference through Harold. I had wanted to save her project, to be the sister who helped. But their contempt had left me no choice. This wasn't revenge. It was survival for my company, and for myself. Respect. As I stared out at the Tampa skyline, I felt the tension drain from my body, replaced by something steadier: resolve. I hadn't acted as a sister that day. I'd acted as a leader. And I was ready for whatever came next. That afternoon, I drove to Heather's construction site in the Tampa suburbs. The email had already gone out, but I couldn't leave it at that. She deserved to hear the truth from me. All of it. I found her in a hard hat, shouting directions to workers. When she spotted me, she froze, eyes narrowing. What are you doing here? She snapped, folding her arms. I took a breath, keeping my tone calm and even. Heather, I'm the CEO of the company that was funding your project, I said. I've been backing your $50 million deal, but that's over now. I withdrew the investment this morning. The project's too risky. Missing permits, inflated costs, and no solid plan. Her face contorted, first shock, then rage. You're lying, she hissed. You're not a CEO. You're just a jealous nobody trying to ruin me. The words stung, but I didn't blink. I've been running a tech empire for years, I said, steady and clear. I tried to help you. I sent advice through your team, but you ignored it. I can't let my company go down because of your pride. Heather laughed. A sharp, bitter sound. You? A tech empire? She scoffed. Please, Bethany. You're just bitter because I made it big. You've always been jealous, and now you're making up stories to bring me down. She stepped closer, her voice low and venomous. You'll regret this. I didn't flinch, though her words cut deeper than I expected. Jealousy, that's what she saw in me. But she was wrong. I hadn't invested millions to tear her down. I'd done it to lift her up. Before I could reply, two of her team members approached: Darren P., her project manager, and Sheila Vance, her financial advisor. Heather, she's right, Darren said carefully. We've known about the permit problems for weeks. The budget's a mess too. Sheila nodded, her expression tight. We tried to warn you, but you wouldn't listen. This project's been unstable from the start. Heather's face paled, fury flashing in her eyes. You're both against me now, she snapped. She's manipulating you. I could see the cracks forming in her confidence, but she hid them behind anger. You're pathetic, Bethany, she spat. You think you can play the big shot? I'll make sure everyone knows you stabbed me in the back. She stormed off, phone already in hand. By the time I reached my car, my notifications were lighting up. Heather had gone public. A furious post on social media accusing me of sabotaging her project out of jealousy. My own sister betrayed me, she wrote, spinning a story of envy and betrayal. The post spread fast, comments flooding in, painting me as the villain. I sat behind the wheel, hands gripping tight. Her words echoed in my head: jealous, pathetic, the same tone she'd used at that dinner table. But this time it wasn't just family mockery. It was a public execution. I wanted to fire back, to post screenshots, emails, proof, but I didn't. Not yet. Instead, I called Norman. After hearing everything, he said calmly, let her dig her own grave. The truth always surfaces. I nodded, though the sting lingered. For years, I'd hidden my success to avoid this, to keep peace, to protect the illusion of family. But Heather had forced my hand. Later that night, Darren and Sheila reached out privately. They apologized for Heather's outburst and confirmed what I already knew. She wouldn't listen to anyone, Sheila said. We tried to fix things, but she ignored every warning. Darren sighed. Honestly, you did us a favor. The project was headed for disaster. Maybe even a lawsuit. Their words brought little comfort. Heather had blocked me on every channel, cutting me out completely. She'd chosen her version of the story over the truth, and I was done chasing her approval. Driving home, the reality sank in. I'd wanted to save her, to rebuild what was left between us. But she saw me only as a rival, never a sister. I'd revealed who I truly was, and instead of respect, it had cost me the last thread of family I had left.